Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Sonia and I'm really glad you've stopped by. Mention finger sandwiches for afternoon tea and my mind automatically goes to the iconic cucumber sandwich, or egg salad, or coronation chicken. Those are all traditionally what you'll find on any savory tea menu. And I've already done a couple of videos on making those, so I'll put a link for you to watch. But those sandwiches to me also tend to suggest spring and summer. They're so light. I want to show you some heartier fillings that have a real depth of flavor and fit in well with the colder months and could be nice for a fall or winter afternoon tea. First up, roast beef with horseradish and pickle relish. Now I like this on wheat or brown bread, spread with a little softened, unsalted butter. You'll need some mayonnaise, sweet pickle relish, a little horseradish, chopped onion, in this case red, and a little crushed black pepper. And of course, thinly sliced roast beef. Now the thing about tea sandwiches is they need to be neat. You never want your guests to have an awkward experience with things falling out from between the bread slices as they eat. So what I like to do with roast beef is rather than fill the sandwiches with slices that might slip out, I chop it up to make a spread. Now you can do this either with a sharp knife, chopping it fine, or pulsing it in a small food processor like this one. Now once your roast beef is chopped, you want to add the mayo. This is about 2 tablespoons. You may want to add a little more or less to your taste. Sweet pickle relish, again about 2 tablespoons. 2 teaspoons of horseradish. About a tablespoon of finely chopped onion, and in this case I'm using red onion. It's a little milder. Mix all that up, and then a little dash of pepper. Again, just to your taste. You want to mix this all really well until you have a good spread. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Now I prefer to cut the crusts off the bread first to keep from wasting any filling, so let's do that. I like a nice sharp serrated knife for this. Okay. There we go. Now you just want a thin coating of butter on your bread slices. And I like to put it on both sides. Now time for our filling. So I'm going to try to put like a generous dollop in the center and sort of coax it, clean fingers, but sort of coax it to the edge. I think that's good. Just press it down just a little bit. You don't want to overfill. A good rule of thumb is 2/3 bread to 1/3 filling. All right. Now, this bread is small enough. I think I'm just going to do 2 fingers each. This is really lovely. Perfect. These are so good. Now, if you're making these far ahead, you could put these sandwiches whole in an airtight container and cover with a barely damp paper towel and then cover with plastic wrap, pop it in the refrigerator, and then take them out and slice them just before plating. Okay, you may remember if you watched my Christmas video at the Dallas Arboretum, ham and pimento cheese was one of the sandwiches they offered. It was very good, so I wanted to make it for you here. Now, your choice of bread is up to you, but I like the brown bread again for this one, or wheat bread, and I've already removed the crusts. You'll want your butter for spreading, your pimento cheese, and your ham slices, and maybe some olives or pimento for garnish. Now, when it comes to the pimento cheese, if you want to make your own, go for it, but I think store-bought works just fine here. The only thing you want to watch for is sometimes store-bought pimento cheese spread leaves the pieces of cheese in chunks that make it very hard to get an easy layer on the bread. So again, the food processor comes in handy, or you can just mash it up with a fork if that's the case. You don't want to turn it into cream, but you want it smoother so that it spreads neater. But today I think what I have will work just fine. On each side of the bread with the crust removed, again spread the softened butter. Then a nice even layer of the cheese on both sides, but not too thick. For the ham, I like to cut a slice into quarters and match the edge with the edge of the bread, so there's nothing hanging over. That's perfect. Now for a little garnish. Finally, this last suggestion some might consider somewhat casual for a formal tea, but it is classically English. So I think it's a terrific choice for a hearty, savory plate. And that's cheese and pickle. Now, for those of you here in the U.S., I am not talking about a slice of American cheese with hamburger dills. No, not at all. This cheese should instead be a strong, aged cheddar. I was able to find Kerrygold, which is a lovely aged Irish cheddar in these sandwich slices like this. It's very nice. Now, if you can't find the slices, you might find the block of Kerrygold, or if all you have is American cheddar, it will work. But make sure your cheddar is sharp. Otherwise, you won't taste it. And that's because the pickle part of the filling is Branston pickle. Now, that's a well-known product in the UK, not so much here, but you can find it in some specialty shops, and it's definitely online. Now, Branston is a sort of chutney-like collection of pickled vegetables like carrots and rutabagas, onion, and even cauliflower. And all of that is cooked down and combined with various fruit pastes, vinegars, and spices. And it creates this wonderful chunky sauced concoction of tart and vinegary and sour and sweet, and it's very strong in flavor, and it pairs beautifully with a bold cheddar cheese. Now, the original Branston pickle is very chunky, and it's difficult to neatly spread on bread. If you can get the Branston small, with the ingredients cut a lot smaller, that will work well for a tea sandwich. And I understand there is a Branston Smooth that's in a squeeze bottle, but I've never tried it. Now, all of these versions are available on Amazon, and I will leave a link for you. And again, you can always use the food processor if you have the chunky original and you want to get it a little more spreadable. So we have our cheese and pickle, now time for the bread. And I'm using white bread this time, again with the crusts removed, and again spreading a little unsalted butter on both sides. Now, when it comes to the ratio of cheese to pickle, both are strong flavors that need to complement each other. But it's very easy to slather on a little too much pickle, and if you're not careful, that's all you'll taste. You want to cover your bread slices with a thin layer. Another reason for that is you don't want any chunks squishing out and dropping onto the plate when your guests take a bite. I'll even put just a little less pickle on the second slice, just in case. These cheese slices make it easy to perfectly cut them to fit the bread. Now, because these sandwiches have a strong flavor, I prefer to cut these into either triangles or small squares. A little goes a long way. So if you've never had this before, you might first try it yourself to get the flavor ratio to your liking. Okay, now with our sandwiches done, it's time to pick the tea. Now for that, I like a bold black tea to go with these flavors. An Assam, an English breakfast, or something like this Albion tea, which a dear friend was kind enough to send me from Fortnum & Mason at Christmas. This is a blend of Assam and Keeman and works beautifully with milk. It's one of their bold blends, and I think will go perfectly with today's fare. So let's give our savory tea course a try. So we have our cheese and pickle, our pimento cheese and ham, and our roast beef sandwiches. They turned out beautifully. And they're a bolder, heartier finger sandwich, if you will, for your next winter or cold weather afternoon tea. I hope you'll try some of these fillings, perhaps add one or two into your next collection of tea sandwiches for your gathering of afternoon tea. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did enjoy making it. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up, hit that like button, and consider subscribing for more afternoon tea videos. Until next time, bye-bye.